Hello, Serge here from the back porch. Staying on this concept of lag and how we start the downswing, we had a response from Dick Lee to a previous comment about the again lag, and part of what Dick's comment was, is I'm paraphrasing what he said. He said, I was already going to try your idea of the underhanded pitch and the other ideas you gave the other night. That's about where you can transition and get a feeling of skipping the rock, and then we introduced the sidearm underhand type pitcher, you know, throwing that sidearm pitch underhanded. It's even a greater, a more exaggerated feeling of just skipping the rock. So again, he says, I was already going to try your idea of the underhanded pitch and the other ideas you gave the other night. What's stuck in my mind was like I should almost try to hit the ball with the butt of the grip as I pull the club down when I start my downswing. Did I get it right? If not, can you go over it again? Yes and no. I think you got it. You got it right. I just previously did a daily, recently did a daily about lag. That's where when we get up to the top, we maintain the angle that we had at the swing. There is no, you know, setting the club at the top or pausing, setting and pausing. It's just up and straight down. And we talked about, if you do tend to set, the weight of the club will likely pull your hand loose and create this, give it more drop, and then you got, as you pull it back up and your hand tightens, your muscle tone in your arms are changing, and that's causing a whole bunch of problems. And we know that the very first secret of the Serge swing is golf is a game in angles, the fewer the better. So what you start with good angles and you maintain them. And we want not only good angles, but once I set my muscle tone, especially from the tips of my fingers through my hand into my wrists, my forearms and shoulders, what's the one thing that we really want to maintain? We want to maintain that muscle tone. If you have muscle tone changing, then that means angles have to be changing, because it's allowing the length of your muscles to change. And if their length is changing, then they're changing angles. And so we want continuity and consistency where nothing changes. And we all know that most people have been taught to set the club at the top, and that's one of our major misconceptions, is that there's no cocking or setting the club at the top. So we get up to the top, there's no wrist cock in the Serge swing or in any good golf swing. It's up and straight down. And so but here's where some people get in trouble. Now, we talked about that as being a lag, where I want to save that, where I want to make sure that angle stays at the right angle. For me, it's just about a dead right angle. It might get a little bit more, but I'm not going to let it drop down too much, because if I do, it'll start turning again, just like at the top. If I overdo it here, I'll lose my flat wrist and it'll start tearing my fingers open, and that means I'm not gripping the club very good. But here's what a lot of people, and I think this is referencing, they talk about pulling the butt down. Okay, now many people, and I like that, that's okay. Some people have talked about pulling the right elbow into the hip. That one I think is dangerous. But if you're pulling the butt down, the key is, where do you want the butt of the club pointing? The bottom of the club. Where do you want it pointing? Now, if you just pull your right elbow into your side, that'll pull you down fast. It'll very likely give you too much forward movement, which will create too much bend in your body and get you slightly ahead of the ball and collapsing into the ball. So that I don't think is a good move. And thirdly, it'll make you lay the club off too much. So that causes a lot of problems, because it's I think very over dramatic and over exaggerated movement. So pulling the club straight down is good, as long as at some point I got to know where to let it release. If I just pulled it straight down here, that's too late. Release is going to happen way too late, probably even whiff the ball. So you can come up and just let it feel like it drops straight down, and you're doing everything in your mind's eye and your feelings to make sure that you feel this club stay as vertical as you can. We know the bump is going to lay the club off a little. You can see from that angle, you can really see it here. So the key is to try to make it stay as perpendicular as we can. Now, unfortunately, there's been a lot of golf instruction that states that at the top of the swing, for starters, when you come all the way back up, they want the butt of the club pointing at the aiming line. They've made practice clubs with laser beams coming out of the heel and out of the toe, and so you take it away. The club head is on the aiming line there, laser, and then when you get up to the top, that one's on the laser. They've even gone so far as to say it should be a foot or two above the laser. You take it away with the laser from the head on the aiming line, but when you get up to the top, it should be pointing as much as a foot up above. Well, That's not the surge swing. That's not the vertical swing. Those are flat and laid off and very rotational and gonna be causing you a lot of trouble. Where do we want it? If you come up to the top, where should that be pointing? Once I get here, the laser on both cases should be pointing right down my toe line. The one out of the head goes at the camera. The other one goes right down my toe line. But once I go vertical from there, where's it pointing? It should be pointing at the toe line. And if it's pointing at the toe line, you got a nice vertical light golf club. And so it'll be at the toe line, and when you start down, it'll stay at the toe line until the club starts getting vertical, and now it's back shooting over there, straight down the toe line. And then when your arms straighten up to release the club into the ball, the club is extended, the arms are extended, and returns the club to its impact, which is almost a perfect position of where you started at your address. So I think that pointing the club down is a good thought. Once it's on the toe line and your arms and the club's getting to about where your back leg is, that's when you start releasing it to the ball. And that happens in a split second, and that's just a matter of making a few swings to get it. But we want to keep this butt, the toe line is the key. It's the butt of the club, so you point at the toe line, never at the aiming line, and never above it. And you keep it at the toe line, boom, you hit it, and then what happens when you come through on this side? It'll be pointing at the toe line face up when you come in here and you extend through it. As you come through, it's up and it was pointing at the toe line on both sides, because for every action is an equal and opposite reaction. Okay, so if you want to reference the butt of your club, now you know what to reference it to. If you want to make the surge swing, the surge vertical swing, where the club is light at the top of the backswing and swung up to the finish light too, so you have more control of a light club. And when you have more control, you hit it more solid straight and hit those longer shots that you're looking for, and with that you shoot those lower scores. Well, that's it from the Surge for today, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.